back in 2013, in what seemed to be a normal February hockey game, the NHL would be changed forever.
Trying to launch that up ice, and Duchesne takes it. He's in, he shoots, he's gone!
As this blatant offside goal would cause the hockey world to lose it. And it makes sense, because just say, in a dire playoff situation, a game-deciding non-call or missed call could be the single difference in winning a Stanley Cup or having to pack up and getting sent home. Because the Matt Duchene offside goal was the catalyst for the introduction of the coach's challenge. Or if the play is offside, or perhaps there is goalie interference, a coach can challenge the play for further review. But if they're wrong, their team gets a penalty. Pretty straightforward. But on the other hand, Cardiac Cat 20 makes a good point. Honestly, I'd rather see this happen once in a while rather than have these ridiculous instant replays that go back in time 3 minutes to see if the puck entered the zone onside. And that's a fair point. The average NHL game is approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes, including intermission and commercial breaks. And in a recent NHL game, where video replay was constantly used, you would see a 3-hour game, which was 29% longer than the average game. There has even been scenarios where the league realized that the puck went into the net where nobody on the ice did. In mid-play, they would stop the game to award a goal.
And Tampa Bay gets it out.
That puck go in?
The puck entered the net at 15:57, so we have a Tampa goal.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because reversing a play isn't a big deal. There has been missed calls, blatant offsides, that led to an NHL team single-handedly losing the Stanley Cup, such as Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, because after taking the 2-1 lead, Mark Recchi would go offside.
Big save. Bergeron for the Bruins. High slot. Marchand scores! And we are tied at 2.
And shortly after, Brad Marchand would score and tie up the game, where the Bruins would end up winning in OT. And get this, off a shot the ref didn't think went in.
There. The puck is in the back of the net.
And the Mark Recchi offside goal proved to be a series-defining moment. But I will say, although offside, this was a close call. But it gets worse, much worse, such as the 2017 Stanley Cup Final. The Nashville Predators were a massive underdog story. Roman Josi was breaking out as a top defenseman in the league. We had the legend Pekka Rinne in net, going for one last ride. And in Game 6 in Nashville, Phil Forsberg, who was shooting low glove, would handcuff Matt Murray into letting out a juicy rebound, where Colton Sissons would score. This was a massive turning point in the game, except the official in the offensive zone was on the left side of Matt Murray, where he would think Murray had possession, and he would prematurely blow the play down. So in a scenario where Nashville should have had a 1-goal lead at home, turned into the Penguins getting a lucky break, where they would win that game and take home the Stanley Cup. But okay, this is just one example. How about the Islanders win in 1980? Because after making a button hook pass while entering the zone, the Islanders would go blatantly offside. But in a time where the NHL did not have the coach's challenge, this goal would count, which would cement the Islanders' Stanley Cup win. Or how about this Flames-Ducks playoff matchup, as we would see one of the most insanely ironic missed calls. You know what? The most ironic, salt to the wounds missed calls in NHL history.
Oh, Bennett! I think he
Look at where this puck it crosses, almost gets over, does it? Oh, it does!
Oh, yes, it does!
Oh, they're gonna...
John Gibson was deep in his net, and Sam Bennett would go for the wraparound approach. But it didn't go in. Or did it? Because shortly after when the Ducks iced the puck, the commentators would take another look. And if you zoom in, that puck looks like it crossed the line, where a potential goal was missed in a crucial playoff moment, where the Ducks would then win that series. And here comes the irony, because during the Stanley Cup Final back in 2004, we would witness the most infamous moment in Flames history. In a situation where if the Flames scored, they most likely win the Stanley Cup, The NHL would say this was no goal. And I'm not saying that either of these Flames goals should have counted, but I do think there is a strong argument that the NHL should have the technology that ensures a potential Stanley Cup winning non-call doesn't happen. And the fact that this happened to the Flames not once, but twice is absurdly incredible. But here's the thing, if the NHL does continue to implement technology to make sure that the right call is made every time, it can also have a massive downside. As this past week, we would see the epitome, hands down, one of the most bizarre concoctions of missed calls and goals being taken away in NHL history. Because I kid you not, in a matchup with the Oilers and Sharks, there were more goals called back than scored by a team in this entire game. Because right off the rip, Tomas Hertl would score this beautiful goal.
Score! Tomas Hertl set up by Barabanov.
Except upon entry into the Oilers zone, Barabanov would go offside.
Upon video review, the play was deemed to be offside, therefore we have no goal.
And shortly after, the Oilers would go on the power play, looking to take the lead. They would score, except Zach Hyman was in the crease.
On video review, the goaltender was not able to do his job within the blue paint, therefore we have no goal.
And it wouldn't stop there.
Deemed to be offside, therefore we have no goal.
And what's even more absurd about this game, on top of the 4 waved off goals, there were 2 more waved off plays. Because Yamamoto and Derek Ryan were cross-checked into the net. And not just that, when Derek Ryan was cross-checked, Derek Pouliot would get a penalty, which would lead to Edmonton scoring and tying the game, meaning in this matchup, we would see an absurdly high 6 goals waved off. And what has to be my favorite part of this bizarre game is the fact that not only did defensemen outscore the forwards in this game, as we would see a classic Erik Karlsson performance.
And some zone in front, Carlson backhander score! Barabanov centers, one-timer score!
But it doesn't stop there. Mattias Ekholm put on a show. Midway into the second period, we would see Ekholm's two-way dominance on display as he would gamble on a risky pinch, but given the fact that Ekholm is nearly 6'5", he would play the body, which would lead to a takeaway. And after recovering the puck, Ekholm would drive to the net and score this backhand beauty.
Drive subtle to Ekholm, a backhander score!
And in the final moments of this game, down 1 goal, Mattias Ekholm would walk in and rip in one of the most ridiculous in-your-face slap shots I've ever seen.
And McDavid, open as Ekholm to the net, score!
And then it would happen. I don't think I have ever seen McDavid look so happy. This is a true love story. This is the face of a man who just realized that he has never had a defenseman like Ekholm, someone who provides stability and can mentor Broberg and Bouchard. So on top of this game having some great storylines, drama, it also ended up being a complete mess, where they would eventually win in OT. And it is important to emphasize that the officials are going to have blunders from time to time. NHL players have never been faster. When you have a guy like Connor McDavid buzzing around at ice level, they are going to make mistakes. So the question is, would you rather see a potential game-breaking miscall blunder, or see NHL games that are upwards of 29% longer because of Coach's Challenge? I personally think that the NHL should continue to develop technology. I always find it hilarious when they cut to that guy in the control room who has 27 monitors in front of him as if he is guiding a spaceship to the moon. I think hiring more personnel, having more angles, so that when a stoppage does happen, it might only be 30 seconds, a minute, and not a 10-minute delay. But that's just my thoughts, and I wanted to quickly thank the RTH viewers. The channel just hit 90,000, which is blowing my mind. You guys rock, and as always, thanks for watching.